there are about 500,000 work permit holders whose work permit is set to expire in 2025. So this is the topic for conversation today. And today with me, I have Cory Weber. He's regulated Canadian immigration consultant. And my name is Olena Weber, and I'm also an RCIC. Okay, Cory. So this statistic just came out like not too long ago. So the exact number is 400 work permit holders,
Yeah.
and their work permit is going to expire in 2025. And according to our IRCC, they don't have a path for permanent residency, meaning
Mhm.
that they haven't really applied for permanent residency yet. So what do you think about that number? Like, is it something that we usually see, or like, what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, that's a huge number. I mean, we're talking 500,000 people without a pathway to permanent residency. That's a massive amount of people who, I can imagine just the stress levels of these people and like the panic, hoping that something's happening and hoping for one thing or another. It doesn't mean that these people are not necessarily in the pools for express entry or perhaps have an OMP or any other provincial nominee program, pathway in front of them. It's just that they haven't yet applied for permanent residence, right? So it's a scary amount of people in that situation. And I mean, we see this. I talk to people every day who are trying to map their immigration pathway, and it's becoming exceedingly difficult as we see the numbers of permanent resident spots are shrinking, right? Overall numbers of
Exactly.
PR are going down. So it's, the doors are closing and everybody's rushing to get in at the same time. And there's a bit of a crash of people trying to get through one kind of door, right? So yeah, it remains to be seen. Like people really have to step up and if you think it's going to be easy and you don't have to work at this, you do. Like it goes to show that you really need to come up with a strategy. I really need to come up with a plan A, a plan B, a plan C for your permanent residence and really take it seriously. Like it's just not going to come to you overnight unless you work for it, right?
Yeah, and the way that I'm thinking about these over 500,000 people is that, and I was 10 years or 12 years ago in the shoes of essentially these people, because back in 2013, I believe, or 12, my work permit was expiring and there was no path for me for PR back then. So I like really, really understand what these people are feeling. Essentially, they're like, I would think about somebody in this situation is they need to kind of make a decision which path they're moving. There are either going to really have chance to apply for PR in 2025. So
Yeah.
let's say they have like 520 points or something like that, right? And like that's the kind of the basket that they're putting their eggs in. Or if they are seeing that, okay, look, I have 470 points, things are not looking great, then you really need to think about how to extend your work permit in Canada. And that would be two major groups. You either applying for PR, you're going to figure it out, or you're going to figure out how to extend your work permit.
Exactly. Yeah.
Now, there is a third group, though, that
Hmm.
is leaving Canada. And I do see that a lot, that people actually do leave Canada.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, we hear about it all the time that people who just decide, like, I've done it, it's so hard. Like, I've got my education, for example, at least I have that. I got some work experience and they're fine with just going back home and taking those experiences and that education with them. And, at least hopefully they have a better chance in their home country, using that international experience, international education, which is great, right? So if that's your decision, that's a good one as well, if it's right for some people, for sure, right? So
that
there are,
actually can be
yeah, go ahead.
sorry, that actually can be a good decision, even from immigration point of view, because if you go back home and you gain your foreign work
That's
experience.
what I was going to say. Yeah.
Oh yeah. um, if you didn't have that yet, right? Like if you, let's say, have only Canadian
Exactly.
work experience and you go back home, you gain your foreign work experience, that may be a smart immigration decision, comparing to like staying in Canada and try to fight through it.
Exactly. I was going to say the exact same thing, just because, go like people always look at the foreign work experience points in, for example, the express entry CRS calculation, and the foreign work experience points are more than the Canadian points, right? So often it could be a really good plan to actually go back home, gain that 1 year of experience or more, and then, re-enter yourself into the pool, and your points are going to shoot way up, and you could have a chance to get permanent residence from back home anyway with that extra year of foreign experience. So it's not always a bad plan. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. It can be very, like, I think logistically and mentally difficult for a lot of people, right? Because especially if you've been living in Canada for several years, like 3 years, it can be like mentally feeling very heavy, but you need to focus on like long-term strategy and long-term plan.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, and then another point I wanted to bring up is just the statistics, so people understand what that 500,000 people is. So we have more like 518,000 work permits expiring. That's only this year, right? Like in
Yeah.
2025. Now, with that being said, for in Canada, express entry focused applications, we have 80,000 spots. So that's 80,000 for like CEC applications.
Hmm.
That's the immigration level plan that has been released in November 2024. That's what it indicates. So 80,000 there. And then for PNP, we have for all the provinces and territories, we have 50,000. So that's 130,000.
Yeah.
And then we have about 80,000, if I'm not, I don't have numbers in front of me, but I think it's 80,000 for spousal sponsorship,
Yeah.
which not
70.
everybody obviously eligible in spousal sponsorship. That's, a little bit different story, right? So altogether, like the all, including refugees, including caregivers, including all of the other streams, all of the PR spots, we have 395,000 of all of
Yeah.
the PR spots, right? But
Exactly.
obviously, like we understand that, like, it's francophones as well. It's like, it's all of these groups.
Everybody. Yeah.
Yes. So either way, all of the PR spots are not going to go to all of the work permit holders. That's just not the way it works. But even if it was the case, even let's say they were going to go to work permit holders, it's still
Not enough.
uh,
Not
not
enough
enough.
spots. Yeah.
Yeah, not
Exactly.
enough.
Yeah. And that just goes to show you, like what I said in the beginning, that you have all these people running for the open door and the door quickly closing and everyone trying to sneak through, right? So that's when your planning needs to come in, and you have to really come down with a plan. Like you said, your options. Okay, extension, apply for PR, or exit Canada. That's it. You need to come up with a
It's
ABC.
only three options. And if you're not making that decision, you're still making a decision because
Yeah,
either way,
exactly.
you're
It will
going
be
to
made
fall
for you.
under.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the decision's going to be made for you one way or another. Some people would be fine with, maybe like you said, sitting there with 480 or 485 points and just say, I hope I get the draw comes down that low for CEC, for example. But if it doesn't, I'm fine to go home. Like there are people in those scenarios who, like, they might not take a proactive approach at their CEC scores and say, you know what, I'm going to get out there, I'm going to learn French, I'm going to learn English, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. And there are people who do that, and they are the ones who are going to sneak through the door, right? So that's my advice would be, look at your scores, look at your pathways, your options. If you've been living with your partner for a long period of time, and like, okay, maybe we have to go down the sponsorship road now, which you had that option when you were getting your PR at some point. It was like you had to make the choice there as well. So there's a lot of people in the same shoes right now. So yeah, it's an important decision to make, or not make, I guess, in some cases.
Yeah, absolutely. And just what drives me crazy, honestly, I think we have this conversation with you like every single day, just because, we work together, we talk about this kind of stuff, and it just drives me crazy when people do get invitations to apply, but
I
then
know.
they take it like so lightly and they submit like
Hmm.
not very good applications, and I'm like, you're kidding me. Like this chance
Yeah,
may not come again to you, and you're taking it for granted, like you're taking it
exactly.
so lightly. And I want to just like shake that person and say, like, what are you doing?
Exactly. And not only that, but that person who didn't, take it seriously and perhaps might get refused is taking the spot of someone else who may have a bit lower of a score or whatever, but would love to take it seriously and would be jumping at that same opportunity, right? And the people who are just like submitting not a strong application and are fine with getting refusals, That's crazy to me, that the amount of time and effort you're spending in Canada to gain the work experience, to gain the education and do that. And then when it comes down to it, you just mail it in this application that's not very strong. I can't understand that either. It is frustrating. And, to not just us, I guess, but other immigrants who would be like, I would love the opportunity. Yeah. So yeah, it can be frustrating when people are in those situations, but what can you do, right? So there's a
Yeah.
lot of people.
No, it's frustrating because it's like, if you say to the person is that, okay, like this is the employment letter that you're submitting with your
Yeah.
express entry application, it's just not good. Like it doesn't meet the requirements. I can give you 100% guarantee that your application will be refused if you submit this employment letter. And then the person on this other side of the phone is like, well,
Oh
I'm just
well.
gonna try.
Yeah.
Like,
I know. And we have videos where we talk about like the documents required, and if you don't have them, then don't, like, you're gonna get refused. It can be maddening, I know, but we can only take people as far as they can take themselves, and like if they if
exactly.
you know, it's up to them to put the application together correctly. And yeah, we would hope that, and we've talked about it many times, that people like will be willing to put a $3,000 vacation to go to Cuba for a week. But when it comes to PR, they don't like $3,000 to hire someone. Not saying that you should hire us, but anybody. It's a huge deal. It's your permanent residence. It's your life. I think that in those cases you can ask for help and be willing to pay for that help, to your benefit.
Well, that's a topic for our probably next video, because in the last 2 weeks we've had so many consultations when, again, it's not about like hiring us, but with so many consultations when wrongly filed work permits, PR applications actually led to loss of income. Now we're talking about tens of thousands of
Exactly.
dollars
Yeah.
loss of income. And I really did not realize that it can lead to these circumstances. And only when I was like, oh my gosh, like this person is now out of status. Now they have
Stop
problems with their
working.
PR, but also they cannot work in
Hmm.
Canada. So they lost their job. Their employer is not willing to wait for them. Anyways, and that means that can mean 30,000, 40,000, $60,000 loss of income, right?
To save the original 3,000, to do it yourself. I know. So yeah, we'll probably have to
Yeah,
deep dive that in another.
we'll have to do that. Yes.
Yeah.
All right, good conversation today. Thank you everyone for watching us. Don't forget to comment and subscribe to our channel, and we'll see you next time.